So allow me to begin by first expressing our deep appreciation to the members of the media here present. We appreciate your continued interest in covering issues affecting constitutionalism, democracy, good governance, and the rule of law. So today's press briefing is essentially twofold. We wish, in the first premise, to respond to the passage of Constitution Amendment Bill number 3 of 2026 in both the lower and the upper houses of Parliament, being the National Assembly and the Senate respectively. And we secondly wish to respond to the alarming escalation in political repression and the ongoing clampdown against dissenting voices, especially voices that are peacefully opposed or expressing any kind of opposition to CAB3, and most recently the ongoing targeting of our own members and leadership within the Constitution Defenders Forum. And with me today is our national spokesperson, Mr. Jacob Rukweza, and I will hand over to him now to first of all give us the preliminary remarks, whereupon we will then get into the substantive issues and matters of our press briefing today. Over to you, Mr. Rukweza.
Let me start by introducing matters concerning the recent appointments that were done by the Constitution Defenders Forum. The first appointment that we want to talk about is the appointment of Ms. Jacqueline Sande. Ms. Jacqueline Sande is a lawyer by training, a constitutional lawyer, and she is joining us as the spokesperson of the gender desk in the CDF. There's been some confusion about her appointment in the media and in different communities that Jacqueline Sande is the national spokesperson. Let me clarify that I am the national spokesperson of the Constitution Defenders Forum. My name is Jacob Rukweza. Nothing has changed, and Chieza with me here. Chieza Mlingwa is the deputy spokesperson of the CDF. So I just thought we should clarify that. So contrary to reports that have been circulating in the media platforms, Ms. Sande has not been appointed as a substantive national spokesperson of the CDF. She is, for the avoidance of doubt, the spokesperson of the women's desk. The Constitution Defenders Forum is itself governed by a constitution. That constitution clearly establishes its internal structures, leadership, organs, and the governance framework. One of those structures is the women's desk, and the women's desk is the part of the structures that Jacqueline Sande is joining. And operationalization has been unfortunately been delayed owing to a number of vacancies that had not yet been filled. Following consultations within the organization, CDF has now taken deliberate steps to fully operationalize the important structure. Accordingly, Jackie Sande joined us. Also joining the desk is the women's desk chairperson, Sam Kelly Sochuma, and the women's desk programs director, Charity Nyoni. So those are the new appointments that have been effected by CDF to fill the vacancies that were open in the women's desk. This is in keeping with the CDF mantra, which is to engage and embrace everyone across the political divide, from all walks of life across the country and the 10 regions that make up the country. Finally, it is crucial to reiterate that while the major issue the CDF is predominantly seized with is to respond to CAB3, political connotations have been spread around that CDF is a political party. We want to clarify that the CDF, although it has some who have been political activists in the past, the majority of its members are ordinary citizens. And because it is not a political party, we accept membership from anyone who subscribes to the mandate and objectives of the Constitution Defenders Forum. The mandate of the Constitution Defenders Forum is to defend the Constitution and, in addition, to uphold constitutionalism. So CDF remains a non-partisan civic platform uniting churches, civil society, labor representatives, war veterans, the youths, students, women, who are a crucial pillar, as well as citizens both at home in Zimbabwe and abroad. So let me reiterate that CDF is not a political party. Neither are we aligned to any specific political formation. Rather, we are united by the objective of the defense of the Zimbabwe's constitution and to speak against the violation of the constitution, as well as to speak in support of constitutionalism and to promote constitutional rights of every citizen, regardless of political affiliation. Our loyalty is constitutionalism. Our allegiance is the democratic principles. Our commitment is to Zimbabwe. And having dispensed on these matters, let me now call upon our deputy spokesperson, Chieza Mlingwa, who is a lawyer by training and an expert in constitutional law. She will come and respond to the constitutional issues pertaining to the passing of the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3. Over to you, Chieza. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Spokes. Thank you for those opening remarks. So, without much further ado, the passage of CAB3 through Parliament, really, it represents one of the most disappointing moments in Zimbabwe's recent constitutional history. Parliament may have fulfilled its formal legislative process required for constitutional amendment, ostensibly. However, legality must never be confused with legitimacy, and that is our primary position as the Constitution Defenders Forum. We want to make it clear, or rather remind those propagating this bill, that the Constitution of Zimbabwe was born out of one of the country's most extensive consultative processes. Millions of Zimbabweans participated in a referendum in March of 2018, crafting a social contract intended to place constitutional limits upon political power. Constitutional amendments should therefore only arise where there exists overwhelming national consensus, number one, and demonstrable public necessity, number two. CAB3 manifestly fails this test. Throughout its consideration, countless citizens, constitutional experts, churches, legal practitioners, civic organizations, retired army generals, war veterans have all expressed serious reservations about both its substance and its implications. Despite this, Parliament has proceeded with remarkable speed in promulgating Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 of 2026. On Wednesday, 24 June 2026, we saw that it sailed through the National Assembly, through the Senate, with a majority vote of 75 senators, 4 and only 4 senators against. On 18 June 2026, the bill passed in the National Assembly with 216 votes for and 45 votes against this bill. In terms of parliamentary processes, the bill will now be remitted back to the National Assembly or to the lower house after having gone through amendments in the Senate. So had this been an ordinary bill, once both the National Assembly and the Senate have passed the bill with 2/3 majorities in their respective third readings, the bill would then be forwarded to the President for his assent or for his signature. But this is by far no ordinary bill. It is a bill that seeks to amend entrenched provisions of the Constitution and in so doing tear away at the basic structure, tenets, spirit and purport of the Constitution. It is about treating the Constitution as a political instrument, about aligning the nation's supreme law with strategic political party objectives. The President is expected to sign this bill into law next month. I want us to make no mistake about this. What we are witnessing right now people of Zimbabwe is not just a mutilation of the Constitution. It is an unfolding coup against the people of Zimbabwe. It is actually, for all intents and purposes, a calculated constitutional coup, and it does this in two ways. First of all, by attempting to strip citizens of their embedded rights under Section 67 of the Constitution, which entrenches their right, or the right of citizens, to participate in all elections, including presidential elections. But now CAB3 is coming forward and saying, we want to remove that right that you already have, that you were given, that is entrenched under Chapter 4 of the Constitution, Section 67, and place that within Parliament. And they captured one for that. Secondly, it does this by attempting to extend the presidential term by an additional 2 years. Now, those who are familiar with regional benchmarks regarding this issue will be aware of the African Charter on Democracy, Elections and Good Governance, specifically Article 23, Clause 5. It classifies any amendment or revision of the Constitution to facilitate an extended term in office beyond the constitutionally stipulated term of office as a coup or unconstitutional change of government. We cannot allow the president's term or any public functionary's term to be extended by an additional 2 years without going back to the ballot. That should not happen in an ordinary, functional democracy. The bill must now go to a people's referendum. Section 328 subsection 6 of the 2013 Constitution of Zimbabwe, as read conjunctively with Section 328 subsection 9, provides that where a bill seeks to amend any provision of Chapter 4, which entrenches the Declaration or Bill of Rights, then it must be submitted to a national referendum. So as indicated earlier in our statement, the bill strips or takes away or changes the meaning of the right protected under Section 67 of the Constitution. Section 67 is located under Chapter 4 of the 2013 Constitution of Zimbabwe. And as indicated under Section 328, if any bill seeks to amend any provision of Chapter 4, it must be submitted to a national referendum. Additionally, where a bill stands to amend a term limit provision by extending the amount of time that a person can be in office, and secondly, where that extension benefits a person or persons already occupying office at the time that the amendment is made, then again, the bill must be taken to the people to decide on that question before that benefit accrues. We therefore stand before you and the nation today as the Constitution Defenders Forum to reinforce a position that has already been made by numerous others, and most recently by a group of war veterans led by our CDF war veterans representative, Comrade Ruben Zulu, to the Speaker of Parliament and to the President of the Senate, who are basically urgently calling for the following, and we reinforce this call today. Firstly, we call for the withdrawal of Constitution Amendment Bill number 3 of 2026 in its entirety, on the basis that it is constitutionally defective and goes against the basic tenets or basic underpinnings of democracy, constitutionalism, and the rule of law. Alternatively, that the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Mr. Emmerson Mnangagwa, should make a formal pronouncement that he will not append his signature to this bill without first ensuring that the bill is taken through a national inclusive referendum. Ultimately, and finally, that should he or Parliament fail to heed to the calls that we are making today, that both Parliament and the President will be liable to being found guilty of gross misconduct and of dereliction of their respective constitutional duties, responsibilities, and obligations under Sections 90 subsection 1, 119, and 128 of the Constitution respectively. We give both Parliament and the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe 72 hours to heed to this call. Failing which, we have to admit one thing, that the people of Zimbabwe are really being left with no other option other than to exercise all available legal options, constitutionally protected guarantees available to them, particularly under Section 59. I know it may seem to ordinary Zimbabweans right now, abasilaleleyo kana kuti vakatiteerera, kuti the passage of Constitution Amendment Bill number 3, both in the lower and upper houses of Parliament, may appear to mean that the battle has now come to an end. It is only just beginning. What it now means is that citizens have a moral justification to actually respond to this constitutional degradation, as we have said, by whatever legal and constitutional means available to them. Not only as a necessity that is provided for under the Constitution, under Section 59, but also as a moral justification or a moral basis in response or in the quest or search for equality, justice, and liberty for all. We cannot allow this to happen under our watch. We owe the future generations. We owe it to the children that we are raising today. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to the sons and daughters of Zimbabweans who laid down their lives in the liberation struggle to put up a steadfast fight against Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3. In fact, starting from today, every single day should actually be a concerted fight and response to Constitutional Amendment number 3 bill, even if it passes, even if it is presented to the President for his signature, and even more so if he actually proceeds to append his signature to that bill. Thank you.
We are equally disconcerted by the increasingly hostile clampdown on the citizens as peaceful expression in their disagreement against CAB3. And we, in the process, have witnessed the arbitrary arrests of our members. Paul Gorekore, the CDF Programs Director for Harare Federation, was arrested recently and appeared in court today. Watmo Mshonga, the chairperson of the Harare Federation, has also been targeted. Other members who have been targeted also include Dumisani, Makwanya, and employees of the CDF have also been targeted. This comes directly after the offices of the CDF have been raided by the police, and things have been seized by the police. Our campaign material, our T-shirts, and other things have been confiscated by the police. Fortunately, as we speak, the Zimbabwe Lawyers for Human Rights are representing our secretary for programs, and our other members are in hiding as we speak today. We want to call on the international community. We want to call on churches, civic society, to take note of the violations that are taking place against our members. You will also recall that the convener, our convener, Advocate Tendai Biti, was arrested and is constantly appearing in court, as well as our programs, National Programs Director Morgan Ngube has got a case pending in the courts. All these are calculated violations that are meant to victimize and to intimidate our members. But we will reiterate that the passage of CAB3 does not mean the passage of CAB3 in Parliament does not mean the end of the struggle against the violation of the Constitution. It does not mean the end of the constitutional coup that we see that is undergoing now. It is only the beginning. We have stated and we will state again that we have got several options at our disposal, and Parliament was only one stage. Beyond Parliament, we reserve the right to approach the courts, and beyond Parliament, we reserve the right to invoke Section 59 of the Constitution in the fight against CAB3 and unconstitutionalism. So the next stage will involve the courts. The next stage will involve the citizens of this country, because at the end of the day, they are the actual owners of the Constitution, and they have a final say in what should be done to the Constitution. What does it mean if CAB3 passes without a referendum? If CAB3 passes without a referendum, it means beyond 2028, President Emmerson Mnangagwa and his government become illegitimate, because in terms of section 328 of the Constitution, there are 2 referendums that are supposed to be held before this CAB3 is enacted into law. So what must happen going forward is that Parliament must call for a national referendum. If Parliament does not call for a national referendum, then we go to the next stage. The next stage, as I have alluded earlier, is the invoking section 59 of the Constitution and referring the struggle to the people. We have seen MPs voting overwhelmingly against CAB3. What is clear is that the MPs have betrayed the aspirations of the people as expressed in the 2013 Constitution, because the 2013 Constitution was delivered by the people, and amending it means that we have to go back to the people. Amending the Constitution without going back to the people means betrayal of the people. There are also allegations that money has been changing hands. There's been intimidation of members of parliament, allegations of corruption, allegations of financial inducements. All these culminate in discrediting the process of the constitutional amendment bill number 3. So we call upon citizens to be ready and to understand that the struggle is not over, that the struggle is just beginning, and now we are getting into the next stage of the struggle. Thank you very much.
An assertion to the effect that those opposed to CAB3 have failed to stop the bill is an inaccurate assertion. I believe our statement has touched on this, but I will reinforce it, right? We have indicated that the battle is not yet over. There remain multiple levels and avenues, not just of legal contestation, right, but also of going back to the people, right? Going back to the heart of the matter. We, the people, are the ultimate sovereign. We do not want to be mistaken about this. The common way in which people lose their power, and by people I'm referring to the ordinary citizens, I'm referring to the masses, is by them thinking that they do not have any. And as it stands, what we are waiting to see right now is whether Parliament will continue to take this bill forward, which is likely. But ultimately, what needs to be seen, what remains to be seen, is the President putting his final signature and accent to that bill, despite his own indications on various well-documented occasions in which he has indicated that he's a constitutionalist. He has made assertions to the effect that he will persuade the persuaders not to persuade him. He has made various indications that the voice of the people is the voice of God. He has indicated that he's a listening president. And other than the personal statements that he has made, is what he is bound to by the Constitution. And once he breaks that, as has been indicated by our national spokesperson, once that bill has been assented to, meaning that he and his government now have to be in power beyond 2028, we are now dealing essentially with an illegitimate government. We are dealing with a government that has extended its time in office without even being voted for by the people to remain in office for those extra 2 years. And at that point, we will make the country ungovernable. At that point, the masses will really have to claim ownership of the Constitution. The only way to defend the Constitution is by one way and by one way only, by the people being willing to defend it. And so therefore it is an incorrect assertion to say that those who are opposed to CAB3 have failed to oppose it. What ZANU-PF is doing right now, and what they do not realize, is that it is so self-defeatist in nature. They are essentially biting themselves or kicking themselves in the foot, because they are creating the very same conditions that led to the 2017 coup. In fact, history vindicates us. If you look at what happened during the times of the French Revolution, if you look at the obscene amount of wealth that is being thrown in people's faces, we're seeing houses being purportedly bought for 160 million rands. At a time when a massive amount of the population, especially the youth, are going unemployed. At a time when the police are targeting a vendor for speaking out against vending stores being destroyed. At a time when hospitals, when schools are incapacitated. At a time when a majority of the sector is within the informal sector, despite hundreds of thousands of graduates being churned out every year, and yet the formal sector is not able to cater for these recent graduates. What else do they expect? You cannot expect the citizens to keep being undermined in such a manner and assume that you have a complacent citizen. And on that basis, I will assert this again. It is an incorrect assumption to believe that we have failed to respond to CAB3.
Maybe let me also add that the Constitution does not belong to the people who are in the forefront of defending the Constitution today. The Constitution, as we all know, was delivered by the people in 2018. So if we have anything that we might interpret as a defeat for those defending the Constitution, it by implication means defeating the people, because the real owners of the Constitution are the people. And history has taught us that the minority can never defeat the people. So we don't think that we will come to a stage where the people who are the real owners of this Constitution are going to be defeated. Eventually, the people will take ownership of the Constitution, the people will take ownership of the country, the people will take ownership of the government, and the people will take ownership of the future. And that is what we believe in. Thank you.
Today, we are looking at one of the biggest political stories coming out of Zimbabwe. The Constitution Defenders Forum, also known as CDF, has given the government a 72-hour ultimatum over Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3, commonly called CAB3. According to the group, the government should take this bill to a national referendum and allow ordinary Zimbabweans to decide whether they agree with the proposed constitutional changes. The group says the Constitution belongs to the people, so any major changes should also be approved by the people. This has now become a major topic across the country because many citizens want to understand what CAB3 is all about and why it has created so much debate. Before we continue, if you enjoy getting simple and reliable updates like this, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us continue bringing you the latest stories from Zimbabwe and across Southern Africa. Now, let us break everything down in simple English so everybody can understand what is happening. The Constitution of Zimbabwe is the highest law in the country. Every other law follows what is written in the Constitution. It explains how the country should be governed, how leaders should perform their duties, and what rights citizens have. Because of this, any proposal to change the Constitution is always a very serious matter. This is where CAB3 comes in. Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 contains proposals that would make changes to parts of the Constitution. Supporters of the bill believe these changes are necessary for the country's governance and future administration. On the other hand, critics believe that some of these proposed changes are too important to be decided only by Parliament. They argue that the people themselves should have the final say through a national referendum. That is exactly where the Constitution Defenders Forum has taken its position. The organization says that giving citizens the opportunity to vote directly on the proposed constitutional changes would strengthen democracy and show respect for the people. According to the group, Zimbabweans should not be left out when decisions of this importance are being made. The organization has therefore issued what it calls a 72-hour ultimatum. In simple words, they have given the government 3 days to respond by agreeing to submit CAB3 to a referendum. They believe this is the right process because the Constitution belongs to every Zimbabwean citizen, not only political leaders. As expected, this announcement has attracted attention from many people across the country. Some citizens agree with the Constitution Defenders Forum. Others believe Parliament already has the constitutional responsibility to debate and pass laws without holding a referendum for every constitutional amendment. Because of these different opinions, the discussion continues to grow every day. One important thing to understand is that this debate is not only about one bill. It is also about how Zimbabwe should make major national decisions in the future. Some people believe direct public participation builds stronger trust between citizens and government. Others argue that elected representatives are already chosen by the people to make such decisions on their behalf. As the discussion continues, many Zimbabweans are asking one simple question. If the Constitution belongs to everyone, when should the people vote directly, and when should Parliament decide on their behalf? That question is now becoming one of the biggest talking points in this debate. If you are enjoying this explanation, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also turn on the notification bell so you never miss our latest Zimbabwe news and updates. Your support means a lot. Another interesting part of this story is the timing. Zimbabwe has experienced several constitutional discussions over the years, and every time changes are proposed, different organizations, lawyers, civic groups, and political figures carefully study the proposals. They want to make sure that whatever changes are made will benefit the country for many years to come. Supporters of public participation believe that allowing citizens to vote directly can increase confidence in the final decision. Even those who may disagree with the outcome might still accept it more easily if everyone had the chance to participate in the process. Others see things differently. They argue that Zimbabwe's constitutional system already provides legal procedures for constitutional amendments. From this point of view, Parliament has an important constitutional role, and following those procedures is also part of respecting the Constitution. Because of these different views, the debate has remained peaceful but very active. Lawyers continue explaining the legal position. Civic organizations continue encouraging public awareness. Citizens continue discussing the matter at workplaces, in communities, and across social media platforms. Everyone seems eager to understand exactly what CAB3 could mean for Zimbabwe's future. The Constitution Defenders Forum has made it clear that its position is based on the belief that major constitutional reforms should involve ordinary citizens from beginning to end. The organization says Zimbabweans deserve an opportunity to participate directly whenever changes affect the country's supreme law. Whether the government agrees with that position or not, one thing is certain. This story has captured national attention because constitutional matters affect everyone, regardless of political opinion. Every citizen lives under the Constitution, and every amendment has the potential to influence future generations. Many experts also remind citizens that constitutional discussions should always remain peaceful, respectful, and based on facts. Strong opinions are normal in every democracy, but respectful dialogue helps countries move forward without unnecessary division. At the same time, many Zimbabweans are paying close attention to what may happen after the 72-hour period expires. Will there be an official response? Will discussions continue between different stakeholders? Will Parliament maintain its current position? These are some of the questions many people are asking as they follow developments closely. One thing that stands out is how interested ordinary citizens have become in constitutional issues. In the past, many people viewed constitutional law as something only lawyers discussed. Today, more citizens want to understand their rights, how laws are made, and how national decisions affect everyday life. That growing public interest may become one of the most important outcomes of this entire debate. As always, no matter where you stand on this issue, understanding the facts is very important. Listening to different viewpoints helps everyone make informed decisions rather than relying on rumors or misinformation. That is why discussions like this continue attracting attention throughout Zimbabwe. If you appreciate balanced and easy to understand news like this, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends and family. It really helps the channel grow and allows more people to stay informed.